Good morning, all our viewers from our Hong Kong studio. My name's Brian King. I'm Associate Dean and Professor in the School of Hotel and Tourism Management at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. I'm very pleased to moderate this live session for the unit Managing Human Resources in the Hospitality and Tourism Industry. Now, in this session, we'll have a presentation from an industry leader, followed by some discussion between the two of us, and then we'll open up to questions for you, our audience, all over the world. So our intention is to make the session interactive. Our focus today is on how human resources, the human resources function, is changing in the hospitality and tourism sector. And we'll cover issues like how is technology changing service delivery? How is the growth of social media transforming the way that businesses operate and also the human resource function? How do we retain our best talents? We talk about the war for talent globally. And then finally, what is the future of human resources in the hospitality sector? And it's my great pleasure to introduce Mr Liviano Lacchia. Hi, Liviano.
Hi, Brian.
Great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And we're so lucky to have Liviano, partly because he's got a great background, but he's also with a very interesting company, Galaxy Entertainment Group, which has a lot of very interesting insights to what's happening globally. And just a couple of takeaways about the company. I think you've got over 20,000 employees.
That's right.
And they also operate the world's second biggest casino, as well as having integrated resorts, and in their base in Macau, many of the world's leading global hotel brands within that integrated resort environment. So Liviano's going to have some great insights. Now, an interesting issue for us with human resources is how it relates to the rest of the business world. And Liviano, you've, in addition to being in human resources for many years, you worked for a while in finance and then in marketing. So your own career shows that diversity of human resources within the business environment. And I'll just do a few words of introduction. So Liviano Lacchia's title is Vice President, Recruitment and Workforce Strategy at Galaxy Entertainment Group. Now, what does that mean? He's responsible for planning future workforce and the strategies to deliver talent to the business. That means setting up the company's shared services, so where human resources fits within the overall business, for the workforce strategy, recruitment and career development. And I've got noted here hiring of 17,000 staff. 17,000. The numbers are mind-boggling. So Liviano's got over 20 years of experience in this HR area, large-scale recruitment, shared service operations, human resources, outsourcing. Now, you arrived in Hong Kong 18 years ago.
Yeah, just over 18 years ago.
And where are you from?
Well, I was born in Australia from Italian parents, grew up in Italy, and finished my education in Australia. So a bit all over the world.
Good. And in our little chat before we started the session this morning, you were showing me you singing Luciano Pavarotti's Nessun Dorma. So he's got a bit of a talent as an entertainer. So to stay tuned to your
sideline
screens, everyone. So having come to Hong Kong 18 years ago, you've been in Macau for about 10 years. So Macau, huge gaming center. I think Macau surpassed Las Vegas about 10 years ago as the world's biggest gaming, and now something like 4 times the volume of Las Vegas. So I imagine for human resources, that's a very, very interesting environment to be working.
Certainly challenging, not just from the sheer numbers point of view, but the competition, doing it in a regulatory framework, which gaming is managed in, and as you said, the war on talent is a never-ending journey.
And I was reading recently that Macau soon will have 50,000 hotel rooms. So it's grown from really quite small to having almost as many hotel rooms as we have here in Hong Kong, which is obviously a global centre. So that scale of development is just phenomenal.
Well, we're aligning to the vision of Macau. Macau SAR, which is supported by the People's Republic of China, to be a world centre of tourism and leisure. And I think we're on the way there. So this is really part of the journey.
So that's a bit of diversification away from the gaming side.
That's right.
A bit like Las Vegas did it. Would
I would say so. But I just remind everyone, we're doing it in Macau at a greater pace than Las Vegas, and we will continue to do so. It's
an amazing story. So you've come across, it takes about an hour to get for those in different parts of the world. Macau's about an hour from Hong Kong. You came in the ferry?
Yes, the ferry.
Yeah, and next year there'll be a bridge, so it'll be even faster. Okay, so great to have you here, Liviano. I think you've got a bit of a presentation for us. I have asked Liviano to share a bit about his organisation. I mean, the main purpose is to human resources, but I think it's important to know a bit about Galaxy to put that in context. So show us some of your slides, Liviano.
Sure.
And I might interrupt, but I'm sure.
Please do.
I'm looking forward to it.
So thank you all very much, and I very much appreciate the time you're taking, and I hope to answer some of your questions later on. Just a little bit about Galaxy Entertainment Group, or as we call ourselves, GEG, is one of the world's largest resorts in terms of hospitality and gaming experience. Primarily we're in Macau at this point, but we've got a vision and a mission to go into Greater China, obviously without the gaming, but also globally. Currently we have what we call 3 flagship properties: Galaxy Macau, Star World and Broadway. I think what's important to mention here is our vision. Our vision is to be the globally recognised leading gaming entertainment company, but it's the Asian leading gaming entertainment company. And I think at this point I'd like to show a little bit of a video about Galaxy Entertainment Group, and hopefully that will give you a bit better insight.
Good, thanks, Liviano.
Capitalizing on the KWA Group's more than 50 years integrated experience in property development, hospitality and construction materials, in 2002, Galaxy Entertainment Group Limited received one of the 6 gaming concessions from the Macau SAR government. Since then, the group's business has diversified into entertainment and leisure, in support of Macau as a world centre of tourism and leisure. Since 2013, Galaxy Entertainment Group Limited has been a constituent of the Hang Seng Index. Star World Hotel is GEG's first 5-star property. Operating under our Asian Heart philosophy, it has been recognized by the industry with numerous honors. Galaxy Macau, GEG's large-scale integrated resort, is the first truly integrated resort property of its kind in Macau with genuine resort features. Occupying a total area of more than 1.1 million square meters, Galaxy Macau features leisure, entertainment, shopping, arts and culture, convention and exhibition facilities, while Broadway Macau showcases an authentic side of Macau with its up-close and personal entertainment.
成個銀河定位嘅話咧，都係話傲視世界，情係亞洲。如果要做嘅話，一定要做到自己嘅品牌出現。規模嘅嘢，我哋去世界級做到最大最好嘅。
Galaxy Macau is now the only integrated leisure and entertainment resort in Macau, offering 6 world-class hotels, attracting visitors from all over the world. Since opening, Galaxy Macau has won a host of accolades as one of the world's best resorts. With the development of phases 3 and 4, as well as the 2.7 square kilometre Hengqin project, this new Palace of Asia is set to deliver an even more exciting and compelling resort experience.
great to see that integrated resort concept coming to a city environment. We think of resorts being, I guess, in the countryside or by the seaside. So on you go, Liviano.
Well, thank you. Yes, I mean, in some respects, it is on the seaside there, right in the middle of the Pearl River Delta. But yes, it's a very exciting one, and it's really we're only halfway through that journey as we expand more. But I think what I wanted to say is part of our success of being Asia's leading gaming entertainment is the 4 pillars, business philosophy pillars that we adhere to. One is local market insights, which is who we are. We are an Asian and we are a Chinese led company, and we believe that gives us a greater insight into the market and our customers. We ensure we get proven expertise. We don't think we have everything that we want and need internally, so we go and get the best from around the world. We will continue to be well positioned. We believe Macau is that great footprint, and will continue to be for many, many years as it evolves into a global tourism centre. And we're a prudent organisation. We've grown fast, but we're very prudent in the way we do it, and we make sure that we align to the demand that's out there. Okay.
And when did all this get started in Macau? It's to give the viewers out there this idea. They may not be familiar with the environment.
Sure.
So you've said a little bit about the Galaxy history, but when did all this integrated resorts and really get happening?
Well, for many of years, for those who are from this part of the world, know that Macau had a monopoly. A very successful one, had a monopoly. After the handover and back to the People's Republic of China, they liberalised the gaming industry by issuing multiple licenses. So Galaxy Entertainment Group was fortunate to be one of those successful bidders, and that started our journey in the very early 2000s with a few joint ventures, then building of Star World, our first integrated resort and boutique hotel, which is still winning amazing awards every year, including Michelin stars for its restaurants, and then the first phase of opening of Galaxy Macau, our truly large integrated resort. And now with that's sitting at 1 million square metres, and we've embarked on the development of a further 1 million square metres, so doubling the size.
So you've already recruited 20,000 staff, and then into the future, I guess there'll be many more thousands. That's part of your challenge in HR is to manage that pretty rapid growth.
That's right. And with that sort of rapid growth, there is a lot to manage. But as you rightfully mentioned, the one part of my job is around the planning of this. So how does the organisation grow successfully in taking in the talent that we need? And what's also changing is that we're looking at different businesses, and the businesses that we've had are changing. Even the hospitality business is changing. I think this is really and the impact of technology on it, which requires different capability to be developed and learned.
And is technology, if we think of technology is in hospitality, is that changing the way that the guests experience? From your point of view as an operator, are you having to change that delivery to the guest experience?
Oh, absolutely. Technology is pervasive. There's no doubt about it. Everywhere from before the customer physically comes to any of our resorts, the interaction on social media, how they book, is all technology driven these days. And therefore, once they come onto the property, technology plays an important means to an end. But I think it's important to understand that the interaction with guests still requires the human touch and human beings, because it's that sensitivity. People like to be recognized by people. People like to be dealt with people. But certainly technology is driving and changing quite rapidly the way we deliver a lot of our products and services. And it's been driven also by the guests wanting to do it. I think the other part of it is how technology is also impacting in hospitality employees and team members. You know, the requirement for them to be, when you've got over 20,000 people, how do we engage with them successfully and meaningfully is a big challenge, and technology does play an important part of that whole engagement process.
So not 20,000 robots then, 20,000 human beings.
No, we're very proud of that. As challenging as it is, everyone is important to us, no matter what position and what role they do. So therefore, everyone requires to be treated with the sensitivity that one expects. But certainly there is a platform for us to be better at it, because as with guests, team members, employees are becoming more and more digitally native, and especially the younger generation. So they, by nature, expect to do a lot of things through social media, through technology platforms, through apps. So therefore, as a business, to be able to retain these people and to attract future talent, we as an organisation need to evolve and adapt.
And what about social media then? Are you, as you and your colleagues in human resources, are you using social media as a medium of communication with your existing workforce, reaching out to potential talent for the future? How are you deploying that within your human resource function?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the one thing I could say about social media now is, if we ever thought we had control, we've lost it now. And you see many examples around the world, whether it's business or politicians or others being somewhat hijacked through the social media one. But regardless, it is pervasive. It requires us to be able to use that in the most effective way. I think on the recruitment side, it's probably been most successful. It allows us to reach a greater audience. It allows us to really build our brand and our brand awareness, and to really be a platform to tell this full story about our organisation and its people in it. I think that will continue to grow. We certainly do it through the number of social media channels, be it WeChat, be it our digital website, be it Facebook, and we'll continue to do that to attract the people that we want to join us. The other part of that is employee engagement. I think that's probably been slower in terms of adoption, because again, it's about making sure that we can engage with them properly and within the environment of the workplace. But it certainly, again, requires us. But the one thing I will say is, as you adopt the social media platforms in your business of engaging with people internally, externally, the responsiveness, the immediacy, the currency, and the pace needs to be brought up another level.
Right. So that's extra pressure on you.
That is extra pressure. And doing it correctly and ensuring that the company is well represented and its people are represented is a challenge. Because once it's out there, people can interpret it many ways.
And I guess there's a challenge with some social media being more focused on the personal domain, and then some are more about careers, professional. And for you, caught in the middle, people have their own personal stories, but they're also part of your workforce. So that must be a bit tricky to navigate that.
It certainly is. I think, look, we have a very basic philosophy that most people, when they say something, it's of meaning to them, so therefore they need to be taken seriously and need to be responded to. And I think that's the philosophy that's helping us drive this forward to us. But it is really about engagement, to make them people feel, and our employees feel, and make me as a person within Galaxy Entertainment Group connected with the company.
Okay, great. So we talked about social media.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw this in for the audience as well, because this is something I picked up from a piece of study that we've been doing for quite a while in terms of helping us drive our strategy and how the one thing that you talked about, how HR is changing, significantly is HR is no more coming from a personnel point of view. It really is a marketing tool. It is a marketing platform for the company. For me and my team, we are representing the company, whether it's internally in terms of career opportunity to our team members, or externally in attracting the talent we need locally in Macau and globally. And therefore, how we do it, what we say and how we say it needs to be well thought through the multiple channels. But as a consequence, and because social media and the digital platform plays a role, we've become a marketing tool and a marketing platform and a marketing voice for talent for the company.
Now, that's very interesting, that combination of marketing and HR coming together, because as we were discussing before today's session, this, what we're calling in this unit human resources, used to be called personnel management, and it was getting people in and then seeing them out of the organization sometimes as well. So a more process. Now it's more holistic, perhaps. It engages with finance or marketing or other parts of the business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, apart from we run the Recruitment Workforce Strategy is a center of excellence within Galaxy Entertainment Group. So, but part of our success is on the first layer, how we integrate with all the other parts of HR, whether it's the HR business partner who represents the business, whether it's our learning and development, whether it's our organizational development. So that's part one. Then part two is how are we responding to the talent needs of the business. So whether it's in marketing, in sales, in finance, as you rightfully say, or even in legal, or in hotel operations and F&B management. They're all important.
And I mean, I guess hospitality operations all around the world, they have their local circumstances they need to take into account. So you're based in Macau. Are there particular challenges in attracting, retaining in the world of Macau, Greater China? What are some of the challenges for you of doing that?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the major challenges of Macau is there is compared to say Hong Kong, a relatively small local population. So local talent, and there are a lot of great local talent, and certainly we're very proud to be one of Macau's largest employers of local talent, is in high competition. So it's beholden on us as an organisation to retain them and to be able to engage with them, to make sure that they're retained and they see the value and benefit of Macau. Clearly, gaming has a regulatory environment, so as in any other jurisdiction around the world, be it in Macau, Singapore, Australia or the US. So therefore, we are governed by the laws of the Macau SAR, which of course is part of our remit as a socially responsible. But yes, numbers are a challenge, and like all growing companies, getting not just the right talent but the right fit of talent into the organization.
And again, we were talking beforehand about within big organizations like yours, there's hospitality and then there's the gaming. Can you share with us some of the similarities, differences between these two things?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. And I think most of the time when people from outside the industry think about those two, Brian, they think of it as two different businesses. We don't. We run an integrated business, but the fundamentals are even much more closer. Both require great attitude, both require great service, both require great aptitude to learn. So whether I'm hiring a casino host, a dealer, or a front office manager, the fundamentals are all the same.
Okay, so maybe we can move to the future of HR. You know, how it's one of the themes of today's session is how the HR function is changing. So if you can share with us, you've already talked about some of the challenges dealing with social media, the expectations on you and your team to be more responsive to your workforce. So just talk us through some of the challenges in going forward for human resources.
Look, there's no two ways about it. Apart from building a beautiful assets that we have, the difference of us being delivering exceptional experience to our customers and being Asia's leading gaming integrated resort is our people. And if people are central to the value and the positioning and the growth of the company, who is the function, or who are the functions that help the business get those people? And it's HR. So if talent and people are central to the growth and the involvement and the shareholder return, therefore the function of HR has moved away from being an administrative function to really a business partner. And I think that's the change HR professional, and it's not only in our industry, it's across the board. In many industries, when I talk to people, whether it's in manufacturing or in banking or in financial services or in pure hospitality versus gaming hospitality, what they're looking for is HR people, HR talent who have a mindset to partner with the business to help the business grow. So that's the challenge of HR professionals now, is do you have that ability to understand the business and help partner the business to not only bring talent, but to yield that talent to the maximum value to the business.
Okay, so an individual, you're kind of providing a service to the whole workforce, and you're showing value to the other parts of the business. You're adding something, you're adding to the business objectives as well, to the bottom line.
Absolutely. So it's about not just getting people in, we were talking about this, Brian, but getting the right fit. Do these people come in and help us build and evolve what we believe is important as a culture in the company? Because every growing company and every successful company has a very strong culture that underlies its growth. So that's an important part. So not just getting 20,000 people in, but getting the right type of people in that aligns to our culture. Then once they're here, how do you manage them successfully? How do you manage them that they feel that's meaningful for them to be there, and therefore getting the best value of them in their roles that they do? So that requires managing, that requires mentoring, that requires counselling, that requires development, that requires us to have a learning infrastructure and a development infrastructure and a line of sight for these people that they can fulfil their career aspirations. So that's how much HR has changed, and it will continue. The demand from the business will continue, because central to any great business, as I keep saying, is having successful talent.
Is culture a challenge for you? So you've got your organisational culture, and I would guess that of your 20,000, you've got some from Macau, you've got some from mainland China, you're Australian, you've got a variety of people from different linguistic backgrounds. So, and then of course your customers as well are increasingly diverse. So is that a challenge for you to put all that together?
Sure, it is. It's a big challenge, but you know, organisational culture is developed based on the principles of the business, and we spent a lot of time not just developing them, but being able to articulate them, not just to executives, but to middle operational managers, but also to line staff as well. And you're right, our culture is also shaped by the customers that we have. So whether you're actually from Italy or Australia, or from Macau, being our single most important labour market, or from the People's Republic of China, it really doesn't matter what nationality. If you believe, if you understand and you believe in the beliefs which makes us a successful company, is what we're looking at.
I've heard the expression employee experience journey. So what does that mean? So your customers are your staff are on a journey before they come into the organisation, etc. Talk us through what that means.
Well, I think this is a great example of how HR has changed and will change, and the business demands HR to change. In the beginning, organisations only looked at it from a customer point of view, and the journey of the customer, how the customer gets to the business, how the customer participates with the business, buys from the business, and returns back to the business. It's only of late that we've spent the last 7 to 8 years really developing the team member or employee journey experience. So that means from the very beginning, when one of my recruiters reaches out to a candidate, how they talk to them, what they say, what story do they tell, how they manage to all the way to they've made an offer, to the first day. So is that first day a special experience? And what it does is solidifies the decision that person has made to join Galaxy Entertainment Group, all the way through their time with Galaxy, and hopefully a long time. So that means are they able to fulfill their aspirations, whatever those aspirations are, which is really, really important. So, for example, people who are have an incentive to grow and develop their career and to be promoted, are we offering them a career development plan and pathways so they can fulfill that aspiration? I think this is really important, and this is something that GEG takes very seriously.
Great, thanks. And maybe we can now move on to how Galaxy, how you manage to attract and then retain the best talent. So we've heard this expression, the war on talent, which is global challenge. How do you and your organization go about doing that well?
Yeah, okay. So again, I start with the way we reach out to people outside of the organization. For us, we probably take a little bit more time than a lot of other businesses in hiring talent. It's because we actually think it's just the most important thing we'll ever do. And we want to make sure that when people make the decision to get someone in, that person stays with us a long time. So we're not into the quick fix, in and out. We actually we think there is greater value for people to stay a long time, to grow with us, to fulfill whatever their ambition is. So getting Galaxy takes a long time, and it also has multiple arms and multiple stakeholders that interview candidates as well. So it's not one single person. Right. And why is that important? Because again, it's not only about how many people we need to hire, but are they the right fit? Then the next part is, how do we engage? How do we communicate with them? We talked about that before. That's really important. People want to be dealt with, and they want to be dealt with personally and properly. It's impossible to talk to 20,000 people face to face in real time, but that's why technology is important for us. I also mentioned just previously the whole ability to offer people their ambitions to be met. An important aspect of this is, when is the right time to change people and to move people on? Because as I mentioned here, there's enough empirical evidence that says if you keep someone too long in a role, you're more than likely to lose them, and therefore you lose available talent. So again, what we try to do is to try to manage that process, obviously to help us fulfill our business requirements, but also enhance the experience with the team member.
So you might move people sideways as well. It's not always about moving up through the organisation. You try to give them variety, stimulation, with that experience with the organisation.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a really important point. And it's actually quite relevant to where we are in Macau. I think the opportunity we have in Macau with our Macau workforce and our local workforce is to help them diversify. So you're absolutely right. At the moment, we've got a program where we've taken quite a number of our gaming staff and are developing them into engineers.
Right.
We're really proud of it.
That.
No, we're really proud of it. We're halfway through our first pilot of 30 of them, and we now already see the success of that, and we are expanding it. So diversification, because can I just talk about a personal experience?
Please.
This is my third change of career. HR is my third change of career. So if I can change 3 times, there's a lot more smarter people out there, and they can change as well.
Sure.
And then the other part I think is growing, and again impacted by technology, is flexible work schedules. People are wanting a more work-life balance, and the business is not straight line. So therefore, having flexible work arrangements can be a benefit both to the business and to the employees.
Okay.
I think that
That's the most of the presentation.
Yes.
So I think we're probably getting close to discussing some of the questions from our audience.
Mhm.
Okay, so thank you for the presentation, Liviano. Such interesting issues that have come up, and as is normal with these live sessions, we're already getting some questions coming from our global audience. So I'm just going to have a look at one or two of them, and let's see what your responses are. So let's just see the first one. Now, are you going to employ high-skilled people with rich experience, so experienced, I guess, with both skills and experience, or people with a passion for hospitality but without experience? Okay, so I think this question's about, do you go for experience or do you go for the person?
Sure. The answer is both. Clearly, if you want to be a vice president of our gaming operation or a general manager of one of hotels, you'll need experience. And you'll need those years, and you need to demonstrate it. But that's not the only thing we hire for. We hire a full range from a COO all the way down to front line and back heart of house staff. So when you go down to the bottom, what I would call the entry level, we hire people with the right attitude, the right passion to work, and the right aptitude, and very little experience.
Yes. And I guess in Macau, because of the pace of growth, you cannot always find people that have got the relevant experience and the technical skills. You've probably had to work with Macau authorities to build capacities, to build that skills base of the population.
Certainly right, and that's a partnership we are very proud of, and we'll continue to grow.
Great, thanks. So we've got another question here, which is traditionally hospitality careers have not necessarily been the career of choice, and maybe that's because of the pay rates. How do you convince young talents that the hospitality industry provides a great career? So is that a role for you?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's quite a relevant question, and one that we're challenged with all the time. I have to say we've all started with very low pay, me included, one long time ago in my career. But I think one of the compelling answers we have to that is that your career is not linear. And in Galaxy Entertainment Group, you can come in as a frontline staff waiter in one of our 125 restaurants, and you can end up managing a small operation in the casino, and that is partly up to you as well as the company. So you can grow within hospitality, or in terms of F&B, or in the hotel operations, or you can diversify your career. And the other thing I would say from the influences, the gaming, hospitality and leisure industry is one of the most fastest changing industries in the world, and especially in Greater China. The pace is enormous. So what would probably take someone who started their career like me a long time ago, a lot longer time, is faster. But therefore you also have to be ready to do the learning and development in that process. So it's a two-way.
Yes.
It's not just the organisation.
So I'm guessing that in Macau, that the fact the industry is growing so fast, you've got these 6 big operators, it's quite glamorous, that hospitality is quite a desirable for young people in Macau, I guess. Okay, we've got another question coming through, and this is a specific Macau question. Is it true that Macau local regulations require certain positions in the casino for exclusive hiring of Macau residents? If yes, what challenges has that brought to you for recruiting? So is that the dealers? I think
there's quite a number of them. And so there's quite a number of them, especially in the gaming business. I would say, look, a simple answer is yes, that brings a challenge. But I've worked in many countries and jurisdictions, and that's not an unusual, whether it's in the gaming industry or not. There are certain rules and regulations, and we adhere to them. What it requires us to do is to be able to attract the right people and retain them, and that's something that we focus on more than that.
Okay, good, thanks. Here's another one. This is more a general question. Could you share an HR example of fairness or equal opportunity in your culturally diverse organization? Okay, so that's a very general question.
Yeah, it's a general question, so I'll try to answer it this way. I want to bring that example I mentioned a moment ago. One of the things when we're looking out over the next 5 years of our new developments in Macau is we're bringing in diverse businesses that we haven't managed before. So the first labour market that I look at is not the external labour market. It's our 20,500 people. That's the number one market I look at. And within that is, how do I develop a group of people who want to diversify their career? So I gave the example. We've taken 30 people out of our gaming operations, which they wanted to do and they aspired to do, and developing them into professional engineering managers. So, and that's, they have a diverse background. Some of them are very highly educated, some of them are not, but they certainly don't have an engineering degree.
Okay, good, thanks for that. So here's another one. Thank you to all our viewers for giving us these questions. How do you reduce transaction costs when dealing with human resources? Do you prefer insourcing and hierarchical promotion or external sourcing of personnel?
Okay. Look, I think as we've been a significantly growing business, and we will do, both are important. And we've had to get more people than we have originally. So, I gave the example, we've grown in 15 years to over 20,000 people. So that comes a combination of internal promotions and development and an external attraction of talent. But now that we have over 20,000 people, as I said, our first and most important labour market is our internal labour market. And then we look to that to really drive our next generation of managers and senior management.
And I would guess in Macau, with this, if we call them the big six operators, each of them are wanting to retain their group as well. So there's probably a bit of collaboration across you to build this capacity of the workforce and to make sure the industry is strong.
That's right.
Okay.
If I could, just one more thing
to
say, there is also very strong commercial reasons why you want to develop your team. Because the cost of losing them is not just the cost of the transaction of recruiting the replacement, it's the cost of them taking away knowledge that they've built up and the value that they've built up in the organisation. So there's an opportunity cost as well.
Okay, now here's a tricky one. What type of staff are more possible to promote to managerial level? Expatriates or local? So how do you, I guess, have you got a view about this? How do you show fairness? What are the selection criteria for, I guess, moving up to supervisory to managerial level?
Look, we are a Macau-based employer and company, and take that obligation very seriously. So we have a strong desire to develop to the most senior management local Macau people, as they do here in Hong Kong, which I've worked for quite a number of years before. They do that in Singapore and even in the mainland. So I don't think Macau is different fundamentally than any other jurisdiction. The challenge is the fast pace and growth. But I would say that we have a large focus on ensuring local management development as number one. But it's not exclusive, and it's done fairly, and our assessment and selection criteria is very objectively based. So and it's different from various roles. So in some roles we also use assessment tools. We also use collaborative interviewing. So it may not only be one person, be multiple people who make a decision on that person. But so that's that way we go forward.
And I guess you probably in Macau work with all the educational providers, of which there are many. So for us here at Hong Kong Polytechnic University, we work as in Hong Kong and then globally with organisations like yours to create the best opportunities for our graduates and to make them understand the opportunities ahead with their career development.
If I could say, I'm very proud within my team, which is over 50 people. They are 98% local Macau at the most senior level in my team, and next to all of them are university graduates as well. So yeah, even though it's a small number in Macau compared to say Hong Kong, there is some great talent there, and there will continue to be.
Okay, now we're coming up to millennials. Okay, this is a big topic for anyone in HR in hospitality. With more and more graduates born in the millennium entering the industry, what are the major differences between them and their predecessors? That's guys like you and me, we're a bit different. What are the challenges for you and your colleagues, many of whom in senior ranks will not be millennials, this new workforce with an increasing proportion? What sort of attitudes or different needs do they bring?
Sure.
And what challenges do that pose for you?
That's a great question, and it's something people need to take very seriously as well. Again, if I can talk to my personal experience, even within my team, I would say I have a good proportion of millennials, however we defined it as defined. And I think the central difference is they are digitally native, meaning they are much more connected regionally, globally. They expect a faster pace, a faster return, immediacy, and that brings challenges because some things can't be immediate. Some learning actually has to take the time it has to take, but certainly we've got to adapt to that because these are bright, young, aspirational and important people for us to develop into the next generation of leaders, but certainly a big challenge. So therefore, using technology to meet some of those needs. And a good one is the learning development platforms now on technology. In-time learning is going to be central, continues to be central to that.
Now here's an interesting question. We'll see if we can decode it. For establishing the spirituality in the casinos or gaming groups, it sounds like a church, but I think it's probably more like the spirit of the organization perhaps. What did leaders need to pay more attention to compared with what is described here? I don't think this is the language you'd use, but normal hotels such as resorts near national parks or in central business districts. So I think what this question's about is saying gaming has a particular connotation, casinos and gaming have a particular connotation. How can you create a good organizational spirit, so good values, and is there something that makes it a bit different from your world of casinos, integrated resorts?
I think we need to step back. What are the core principles of your organization? What are the foundations of it? And whether you're in a gaming, a casino, integrated resort, or you're in a standalone hotel in one of the many of them in this city. So it comes back, what are your core beliefs? So for us, it's the responsiveness, the attention, the ethical work practices, the ability to equitably develop anyone in a balanced environment, loyalty, respect for each other. There are our basic principles, how we deal not only with our customers but how we deal with each other in the organization. So that's how we try to create the foundations of our culture.
Great, thank you. Now, this is a good one. So obviously a big proportion of your guests are from mainland China. And if we think of social media in mainland China, it's somewhat different from the rest of the world, and it's a very digitally literate society now. And one example, I suppose, is WeChat, which has already been a mainstream for announcing recruitment information in mainland China. And I know amongst our PolyU graduates that they use a lot of WeChat to share information about job postings and what's around. Can you talk a little bit about future recruitment methods around the globe, maybe using WeChat or other media as examples of that?
Okay, look, we've introduced our own WeChat channel for My Galaxy Korea. It's in this part of the world. It is, if you don't have a well thought through WeChat presence, I think you will lose out in terms of connecting with the target audiences. So I think the future of recruitment is what are the platforms and the channels that you think is important to target the type of people you want. So I would say, whilst WeChat is important, it is not the only channel, but it's an extraordinarily important one, and it helps build the story of the organization and its people. That's what I talked about earlier on, and it's a platform to deliver that message.
Okay, so we've got a bit less than 10 minutes left. No, we've got 7 minutes left. So I think that our questions are still coming thick and fast. So you still do have time to post a last minute question. Please keep them coming. We mentioned robots before. So will robots replace, and I know what your answer is going to be, but anyway, will robots replace humans in hospitality workplaces in the near future? And what kinds of positions are more likely to be replaced, if any? So what's your...
Look, I think when it comes to robots or bots, as probably most of my staff would call it, really is impacting more of the back office type roles these days, and you're seeing it especially in Greater China in terms of the processing times. Certainly, technology and what do you define as robot? Do you define as sort of a check-in, check-out kiosk as a robot? I guess you can. So no, there's definitely a requirement, but guests come to a place like ours to experience something that they don't get in their daily life, and that means an extraordinary journey of service, an extraordinary experience. You can't do that without people. So the challenge is how you marry both and do it effectively. So yes, in terms of digital TV and all the services in rooms, in terms of check-in, check-out, in terms of customer service, you can see technology has played an enormous role, and it will continue. But they also want to talk to people as well. So I'm saying the future of people in a very different form is always there in hospitality.
So there's a bit of the Italian in you coming out there, the human touch.
Yes, I think it's important.
Now, so I don't know if this is guys like you, or certainly guys like me, any strategies that can be adopted by HR department to facilitate the old generations, like 60s and 70s, is that old, to catch up with the trend of technical innovations?
Well, I have a different view. In certain roles and functions, we hire very proudly, and there are great team members, what you would call the older generation, the aunties and the uncles, and they're a wonderful contribution to the spirit and the culture of the company. The one thing I've noticed is next to all of them have a smartphone. So I don't know if all this so-called older generation are being that left behind. I think it's a challenge for all of us, and as this person will see a challenge in the generation that comes after him. But I don't think people are devoid of using technology even at the older age. It's certainly my experience as well.
And I think we've got another one. This is more specific to your organisation. What's the main vision of your company, Galaxy? Brand building or new HR system? Where do you see your company in 5 years? I mean, you talked about this massive expansion, certainly within Macau, in Hengqin Island, across in Zhuhai, and globally as well. So we've got less than 5 minutes left, so just give us a little flavour for what that future looks like from an HR perspective.
Look, I think it will never go away. Our positioning, our brand in terms of being a employer of choice is going to stay central. How we deliver that to the audience outside the company is going to be impacted with technology. But as we double the size again, certainly our in-house technology and the way we use it, whether it's an HR system, whether it's learning development systems, is going to have to keep up with that significant increase in team members and employees. So I see them both evolving, but clearly it's driven by who we are as an organisation, what we represent, and the people that are important to us.
Okay, I think we've that's probably just about all the questions we can handle. Thank you to all of our viewers globally for such an interesting range. I think they did complement our chat before.
Indeed.
And your very interesting presentation, Liviano. Look, I think the Macau example is quite particular because it is the world's biggest gaming, but nevertheless, I think what you've shared with us is some very interesting challenges that you face. The industry is growing at different rates around the world. Macau is going at a particularly fast rate. But even in places like, I guess, Europe or North America, where the growth is not so rapid, the change is nevertheless. And the challenge of social media, technology, the millennials of the multicultural the customers, how all these things are handled is a challenge for senior leaders like you working in the HR hospitality sector worldwide. Anyway, we wish you every success with Galaxy. It's obviously a major employer in Hong Kong, Macau. The way you've described it, there's a very strategic approach to building your workforce. It's very much a partnership model working with the Macau authorities. It's very interesting to hear you talk about how respecting the aspirations of Macau people, that you're an asset in their community. You want to, there are some particular things about casino and gaming, but from the way you've described it, there are many more commonalities about high quality service, about respecting both the customer and also the workforce. So I would remind our viewers that we do have another live session coming up, which is on the 12th of October. We will provide details from Hong Kong to you, our viewers, about that in due course. So please do have a look at it. Liviano, it's been a real pleasure. I've learned a lot from our chat. Congratulations, fascinating background, and
it's been my pleasure
so much
as well.
supporting our efforts.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So thanks, everyone.